Welcome back to Up the Villa. If you are new around here, make sure you are subscribing. We are literally so close now to 20k. We're going to get there this week, hopefully. So make sure you are smashing that subscribe button. Help us out. Comment your thoughts on this episode. There's a lot to discuss on this episode. So as always, it goes off like a fan forum every single episode. You guys are legends at home, commenting your thoughts. We've got a stacked out one, and make sure you are smashing the like button. That helps massively as well. So let's try and aim big on this one with a like target. Let's go 1,000 likes on this episode. So what I've wanted to do, we are around just over 2 weeks away from the season starting. And I really wanted to take a look at the squad, what we've got, who do we need to bring in, what areas do we need to bring in, and who from this current squad could potentially be leaving. So we're going to have a real good look at the whole picture of areas that we need to bring someone in, etc. And we'll go from there. And then what I'll do at the end, I'll try and pick an 11 that is competitive in Champions League and Premier League. There's so many variations, but I'll try and pick one. Right, so what I've decided to do is on Tactical Pad, I've put the whole squad of who we've got. And what I thought it'd be quite good to do is go through every area, every single position, and give my thoughts. And then we'll try and get an understanding of where really needs strengthening. And I expect there's going to be a little bit of a shocker in there, because there's an area that I know that some really want us to strengthen. But for me, there's an area that I'm a little bit concerned about. So let's get into it then. Right, here we go. So, and just a disclaimer before we start. I don't think I've forgot anyone, but if I have, it's a slight mistake on my part, but I don't think I have. So I nearly left one out, but I'll put them in when I remembered just before I went on air. So here we've got the squad then. So we'll go from left to right. And then what we'll do is, as we go, if some are going, then I'll move them out, and then we'll go from there. So left-hand side left back is quite possibly one of our most stacked out positions, I think. I think that's probably one of the areas that are very, very stacked. We've got quite a lot of quality there. But for me, and I think there's an important thing to note as well about this squad that we've got, and I keep using the phrase squad because that's what we are. We are not a singular 11 who will go out on the pitch every single game. Premier League, same 11. Champions League, same 11. FA Cup, same 11. We've got players now that it's all about squad game. Players may start, players may come out, and that's just the way it's going to be at Aston Villa. So a lot of the players that we've brought in are squad players, but they will all play a massive part. Unai says that everyone has to be ready when called upon to come onto the pitch and play their part and make a difference. If you're playing 10 minutes, 20 minutes, your role is just as important as the person that's starting the game. So I think that's vitally important. So, right, let's get back into it then. So, here we go. So, left-hand side, for me, Maatsen is going to be a fantastic player for Aston Villa. And he's one of the key players to our season coming up, because he's going to be vitally important. And then we've got the Moreno-Digne situation, where I think it's important to have 2 players in every position, but I think 3 players in every position is quite a lot. And we talk about the squad game, And having two players in every position is key to that, because if one's injured, one comes in. If one's rotated, if one's rested, if one's changed at half-time, if one's given 60 minutes, one's given 40, you're making your subs, etc. But 3 left-backs is quite extreme. And you're basically saying here that you're going to potentially have 2 left-backs that are going to be sat on the bench. So I would possibly say that one of these left backs is potentially going to leave this season. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and we're going to put a little circle. If we can get the circle, we're going to put a little circle around an area I think we may have a little bit of movement in a transfer window. Now, what I think where we're at in this transfer window is I think we've gone out and we've done our business very, very early and very efficiently. And by doing so, it's enabled us to bring in 2 key players who are absolute game changers for Aston Villa. So by going out and getting those players early, we could put Ross Barkley in that situation as well if we want to. And say Jadon. So we've gone out and we've done our business really early, and that sort of gets, I think sometimes with fans it can get overlooked that how early you've done your business, that you've signed a load of players and then you have a little bit of a lull and it's like, we're not signing no players. Why aren't we signing any players? But you look at the amount of players that we've bought in a lot. But I think we get into that part in the window now where it's negotiation tactics, biding your time, waiting for that right deal, biding the time to sometimes lower a fee at times, or then you start getting into the loan market and you may get into a situation where, say, for example, someone may come in for Luca Dino Moreno, but they'll do it later on in the window to see what their complete options are and to see where they are. So I think we're edging towards that part of the window. And then we start edging towards the loan market. Players that don't get a move, then teams don't really want them in their squad in the forthcoming season. So they then start to decide to loan players out. You very rarely see loan players coming in at the start of a window. The loan players start coming in at the end of the window. And Villa really utilised that loan market really well last season with Longley and Zaniolo, and for what they all played their part. They all had key moments. Even Zaniolo scored 2 goals that got us 2 points, which helped us on our way to Champions League. So I think we're approaching the loan market, and I think we'll be active in that as well. So I think that's something to bear in mind as well. So left back, I think one of those probably will go. So Villa fans, let me know your thoughts on that area, on what you think. And now we get to the left-hand side of centre-backs. And for me, this is the area that I'm slightly concerned about, because we hear a lot of noise about we need a right back and etc. And we need a right-sided player that can play on that side. But for me, I look at this balance here, and it's quite worrying that if Power was to get injured currently, who plays as our left-sided centre-half? Like, at this moment in time, I do sense I do think we might go back in for Longley on loan, because he was quite good for us last season, and that's something that I think we may do. But as things stand, that area for me is a bit of a concern, because I haven't put Mings on, because Mings isn't in America, and Mings looks some way off from playing football. So we can't really rely on thinking that Mings is going to come back and he's gonna play, because we just don't know. So for me, I think that area is vitally, vitally important. So we'll put that in. What colour could we put that in? We'll put that in claret. Claret is going to be where I think we need to make a signing. So we'll go claret. Why is that not working there now? Right. We'll go claret then. So claret can be players that have got to come in, and we've got to make a signing. So for me, it's glaringly obvious right there that we need to make a signing on left-sided centre-half. I think Swinkles has done good in pre-season, but I don't think he's quite ready to be starting Premier League games or Champions League games. So that's an area for me that I think we need to get some signings in. Goalkeepers, Martinez, Olsen, Gauci. I don't really think there's going to be much movement there. I've got to be honest. I think that's going to be as we are, unless a bid comes in for a goalkeeper. But I think that's going to be as we are. We move on to the right-sided centre-halves. Again, there was a bit of talk about Carlos leaving. I can't see Carlos leaving now. This episode may age well, so let's see how this episode ages as well. I'll put this episode out, and then we bids for Carlos, and we bids for someone else, and someone else will go. But no, I think right-sided centre halves are pretty stacked. Consat and Carlos, I think he's good depth, so I can't see much movement there whatsoever. I think that's sorted, and I think that's fine. Right back, I think is okay. I think it's okay. I think Cash is fine. I think he's probably going to stay. Nedeljkovic, I've been really impressed with in pre-season. I've liked him. I've liked that sometimes he's been tested. He's been caught with balls over the top. And I think his recoveries have been really good as well. He's been inverting. He's been doing inverting runs, inverting over the right-sided players as well, which has been really good. He's going to be a fantastic player. And hopefully he sticks around for me. And I think he could be, come the end of the season, a starter at right back. So I think that's okay. And I think it's okay as well because there will be games when Konsa goes to right back, Carlos goes at centre half. So I think the defence still needs some work. I think it probably needs a signing or two, maybe one on loan or signing. So I think that area for me needs a little bit of work. And I think the left-sided area, for me, is a bigger concern right now than the right-back area. So we'll then move into central midfield. And I think we've got some real great depth there. We've got some real good balance to it. I think one player will definitely be going, and that would be Dendoncker. I think if we can get a fee or we can get a loan for Dendoncker, then I think Dendoncker will be going. We've got great depth with Baranchea and Kamara. Hopefully when Kamara's back, that depth will just be absolutely unbelievable in there as well. And then on the opposite side, we've got Onana and we've got Barkley, and we've got just some real good rotation in there. I think Barkley could play as that deep line player. You've got Baranchea that could do the same. Onana can do it, but I really feel like Onana's been brought in to play in the Dougie position. Interestingly, in pre-season, we've been mixing our midfield balance up a little bit. Generally, over the course of Unai Emery's tenure at Aston Villa, we've been playing with a double pivot. But in some of the games, we've been switching it up and playing with just one single player and then adopting more of a sort of a 4-3-3 in essence, which then, as our shape shifts, we can then load 5 players going forward. So we have that fanning across the pitch. So we've been rotating, we've been adapting, but I think central midfield has got real good depth and real good balance. And this leads me on to the guy in the thumbnail. Now, Calvin Phillips. Right. We'll touch on Calvin Phillips. I think it's really strange how sometimes the media have these sort of players, like they're like media darlings, aren't they? That they hold in like a real high regard. And it's like they push them to like move to certain clubs and move to better clubs. And it's just very strange that they've created this rumor of like, he would be brilliant at Aston Villa. What are you mentioning us for? Like, why are you putting our name on it? And it's like, you don't give us no credit, you don't hype us up. But the minute you want to sell one of these little media darlings to a team that are pretty good, you've stuck his name with Aston Villa. And, it's a weird one. But, and I'm not going to lie, and I'm going to be honest, I don't hate it because I think if he was to be on loan, it would be fine. I mean, Pep Guardiola doesn't sign like rubbish. He signs players and he doesn't play them. That's a bad thing that he does. But he doesn't sign bad players. So I actually think that he would probably be okay on loan. But do we need him? Where does he fit in? And the other problem with that is he look how stacked our midfield is. So he's not even guaranteed to play. So yeah, it's one of them. I don't hate it. I think he would be okay on loan. I think he would probably do an okay job, but we've got bigger priorities and we've got bigger areas that we need to bring players in. So yeah, I mean, it's one of them where a lot of people will really dislike it. I don't really hate it. Do I really want him? No. Do I think we need him? No. But he could probably do, a decent job of filling in a certain position. And I think, again, what Emery does with every player, he could make him a better player. But it's one of them where I guess a lot of you won't really want him anyway. So let's just move on and we'll go into a different area of our squad. But I think that area looks pretty good. I think the Kamara injury does mean that I think early days in the Premier League, we're going to have to rotate around with who can play in there. But I think Baranchea, for me, what I've seen, a lot of you really like the episode that I did yesterday. So, does he put him in there? It would be a big call and a brave call, but we need to see more from him in pre-season. But I think that area is looking good. Now, we start getting into some stacked out areas now. We're getting into some stacked out areas. And this starts to show the beauty of our squad and how good it is. Now, we're looking at the left-hand side now. So, left-hand side, we've got Ramsey, McGinn, and Ealing Jr. We know that McGinn can play double pivot, left side, right side. But I've put him on the left because I think that probably is his... I like him there. I like him there. But then you could put him in the 10. You could put him anywhere. But then that just means you've got to move players around. So this is showing how difficult it is at the minute to pick Villa's perfect 11. So we've got Ramsey, McGinn and Ealing Jr. Now, the beauty of Ealing Jr., which I really like, is that he can play on the left. He can play as a wing-back. So you've got cover there as well. He can play here. But I also heard him do his interview when he signed, and he said he can play left or right. And left or right now gives us great versatility in the sense of if he's needed to play on the right, we've actually got a player now that can play there as well. So that also shows the depth that we've got, especially in that position. The right-sided area, we've got Bailey, Jayden and Kesler Hayden. Now, Kesler Hayden, for me, I think he's going to go on loan. I think Hayden will probably go, just because minutes-wise, I really can't see where he gets them. I think there's players ahead of him in every single position, and you start getting into wherever you want to put him, that he's going to be third choice for me. So if it's on the right, he's third choice. If it's right back, he's third choice. So I think he probably gets a loan move. So I think Jayden and Bailey will be, fighting it out for that position. Like I say, we've got Ealing Jr. that can play there as well. The shadow striker, so the second player that will be dropping into that box midfield, again, is very, very stacked. It's stacked indeed. And again, depends where you put Tielemans. You could put Tielemans in the double pivot. You could put Tielemans over here. You could put him where I put him. So his position is quite versatile in where he can go. So that's really important. But for me, Rodgers, I really like in this shadow striker, what we've seen in pre-season. For a lot of last season, we were seeing Rodgers in this position because of the depth and the injuries that we'd got. So you can see that without squad depth, it's very difficult to put players in their preferred position. So Rodgers was having to go here. McGinn was having to go here. We didn't have Ramsey. We didn't have Ealing Jr., which then meant Tielemans was having to go here, or Tielemans was going here. So already, by having the depth now that we've got, what it enables us to have is so much flexibility and versatility for Unai to pick on any given match day. So Rodgers, I really like. Tielemans can play that position as well, along with McGinn. We've got Buendia, who's coming back into the side. Where's he going to feature? I think this position suits Buendia really well, because what it enables Buendia to do is drop in that midfield and work this area of being the number 10. This position for me is a dream position for any creative player. If I was a creative player at Villa, I'd be knocking on Unai's door saying, I want that position. Because, yes, you have to be disciplined. So you've got to be disciplined with your hold up, with your link up. But you've got that freedom to move around the pitch, run off Watkins, pass to Watkins, give Watkins through balls. You've got options out wide with Bailey. You can link up with Bailey. If I was a player, that would be the position that I want to play, because for Villa, it's so exciting. Dobbin, we've seen Dobbin in here in pre-season as well. I don't think this is Dobbin's position. I think he plays left or he plays right. So it'd be interesting to see what we do with Dobbin. I've not really seen loads of him in pre-season. Well, I've watched every pre-season game, but I don't think we've seen enough of him yet to make that conclusive decision on where he's going to play. Then we move on to the striker position. So I haven't actually... Have I got to do another position where I think we need to bring someone in? Right, I'll do that in a second. Right, so we'll do that in a second. Right, so the next position is lucky he's on my list. He's lucky he's on my list. John Duran. Because I was going to leave him off, but I've put him on. Right, what's going on with Duran? Well, he won't be doing anything with Villa, that's for sure. But the problem he's got is he will be coming back to Villa the way he's going, because he hasn't gone yet. And what I think that's happened is, I have a funny feeling there is a rumour that Saudi have bid for Duran. And I imagine if Saudi have bid for Duran, Villa will want to sell to Saudi because of all of that money that's coming in. While West Ham are sort of like, we'll give you this with add-ons, with a player, with this. But if we've had a bid from somewhere else that's way better, they've got to match that bid. So I think Duran, unfortunately, it's a waiting game. And I actually like Villa's stance. I've been seeing a little bit of stuff like, we need to just get rid of him now. Well, we don't. We need to get the right money for him first. We're not just gonna sell him because we need to get rid of him. We'll sell him when we get the money that's required, that we feel like he's worth. So I think it's one of them with him. I think he will be gone. So we'll put a little red circle around him. He can have a little circle. So he will be gone. Archer, I also think will leave as well on loan. I think he might go on loan. I think he will go on loan. Again, I like him, but I don't think he's what we need, and I don't think he's the type of player of what we need, and I don't think He offers the off the ball game. I think on the ball, great, finishing great, but off the ball, I'm not too sure. So I think that is definitely going to be an area that Aston Villa look to bring in a striker. Now, is that player going to be sort of a little bit like an offsetter, where I'm making this up as I go along? Like what I mean by an offsetter is, right? So does he go like in there and not in there? So basically, João Felix. So I think João Felix could be the little offsetter that comes in and plays sort of the Rodgers role, but like that's how I think it's going to work. So, and then Rodgers will either move to the left, etc. So I think that's where I'm at squad wise. I think we need another attacker / striker / number 10, i.e. João Felix. Then I think we'll do a deal with a younger striker. I think we've been linked with a few of those. So what we'll do is we'll put another little circle. So we'll do another little circle here. So I think we've got striker and the number 10 role. We definitely need a left-sided centre-half for me. And possibly something on this side here. So I think those are the areas for me of where I think we need to strengthen. So Villa fans at home, let me know your thoughts on where you feel like we need to strengthen. Hopefully this graphic that I've done on Tactical Padders gave you a little bit of an insight of where we're at squad-wise and my thoughts on it. So I think that's been pretty cool to run through on targets, on where we think we're going to feature. So as I said, we will do we'll do a little one now, and I'll pick an 11 that I think is pretty strong to start so far. Maybe first game of the season, right? We'll run through what we want. We're on half an hour nearly, right? So we'll go Martinez, and we'll go with Maatsen on the left. And the formation may change because we have changed it a little bit over pre-season, but we are generally starting with what we went with last season. So we'll go with Pau. Pau obviously starts for me. Absolutely unbelievable. And then here's the next little dilemma. This is probably the biggest dilemma for me. Konsa centre-back, Konsa right. And I know a lot of you prefer Konsa at centre-back. I know. But as things stand, for me still, I prefer that with what we've got to work with. So that's what I'm going with. Then I think it's going to be Onana. And I think Barkley starts the first game. And I also know a lot of you might be screaming, saying switch them around. But I think from what I've seen so far, I think Onana's going to be the one that's going to be breaking through here. And I think they may switch it around. But I think that's something that I think we will go with to start with. Then on the... Oh, this is where it gets difficult now. We'll go with some easy ones. Bailey obviously starts. Watkins starts. We're going to go with Rodgers off Watkins because I think there's still a lot of pre-season to go. Things might change. Signings might come in. But I think going off pre-season, Rodgers would have to start. And then we are going to go with McGinn on the left. So as you can see, that is a pretty good first 11. But then you could go, you could move, I don't know, for example, you could take Barkley out, McGinn there, you could put Ramsey over there, you could take, for example, you could take Rodgers out, Tielemans in, Bailey out, we could then put in Jadon. So there's so much like versatility to this. We could take Tielemans out. We could put Buendia in. We could then take out... Matson, you could. So what I'm basically saying is, look at how stacked that squad is, and the variations of when you look at this team, and it's completely different to the first team that I put out there. It actually still looks really good. So yeah, just thought I'd just share with you a little bit of how we could work the team, how it could line up, how it could shape up, etc. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode, a little bit longer. I just wanted to just run through where I'm at personally and where I think we need to bring some players in. So, like I said, I'd love to hear your thoughts, love to hear where you're at, what areas, etc. So, subscribe, Up the Villa.